All right, you guys, what a dramatic end to the game versus Girona. Barcelona have come out 2-1 winners. And if you are Ronald Araújo, oh my days, what a way to redeem your narrative. Last time out, the villain, this time out, the absolute hero. I'm so happy for you, but let's dive into everything that we saw from Barcelona this week. But first, if you just see my videos for the first time, hi guys, I am just Max, and on this channel, I talk about football from the La Liga to the Prem and definitely the UCL, and it's always going to be Vizca Barça for me. I love me some Barcelona, and I would love to share my passion with you. And if this is something that you're interested in, please stick around, be my friend, be my homie. I would absolutely appreciate that. But going into this game, I knew that it was certainly going to be a very tricky one, the game leading up to El Clasico. But it was tricky because Barcelona don't have a squad at the moment. I think 8 Barcelona players are currently injured, from Robert Lewandowski to Ferran Torres, Dani Olmo, Juan Garcia, and so much more. And in fact, this international break has been very terrible for our team. It was as if every time we woke up, we ended up seeing one bad news after the other. So when I saw the lineup that Hansi Flick put out for this game, I knew that he was only trying to make the best out of a bad situation. So let us just look into what he put out. It was Chesney in goal, Koundé in right back, Paco Bassi in centre back, partnering with Eric Garcia, and Alejandro Balde rounds up the left back position. Marc Casado comes in, and it's Pedri. Pedri did not finish this game, which I was quite happy with because he is so tired. Lamine Yamal comes in, but he also did not finish this game because he's injured, kind of. You know, Frenkie de Jong, Marcus Rashford, and leading the line, it was Tony Fernandez. But if we're being honest, it was more of a 4-4-3 formation than it was a 4-2-3-1 formation, if we're being very honest, from what we saw from the players on the pitch. Starting this game, I thought that the international break did do Barcelona players a little bit of good. Certainly in that first 11 minutes, they had the right levels of intensity. I thought they gave it everything. They certainly bossed Girona every which way but loose. They were doing the most, and I was living for it. Everything that we criticized them for not having in the match against Sevilla, they brought that and more in spades, and this is kind of what I wanted to see. And this is kind of how they came back from the last international break with so much energy. And definitely I thought they should have scored for all the amount of possession that they had in that first 11 minutes. So it did make sense that at the 11th minute Pedri was able to open the scoring for Barcelona. The 13th minute, I should say, rather, he was able to open the scoring for Barcelona. And it all starts with Jules Koundé, who, by the way, has come under some criticism of late. He made a mistake in the goal in the international break, and of course in the last game against Sevilla, of course he did make a mistake, and in the game against PSG as well, he did also make a mistake. So to see him be able to be fancy feet in this game, pull up some wonderful skills to take away some players away from him, and then find Lamine Yamal, who then finds Pedri in the box. Pedri sidesteps a few Girona defender and just calmly passes the ball into the net. It was one of the most beautiful goals that Barcelona have scored today. It was certainly a team goal, a very well goal, and one that is worthy of everything that we saw from Barcelona in the first 30 minutes of the game. But however, after that moment, I have to admit that I was very disappointed with Barcelona. They let the intensity drop. It's as if they felt like, okay, we've got the goal now. Girona are going to, lower their heads down, and we can play on 50%. But that's the thing. You're playing a derby. You cannot afford to think this way. You can't afford to think that the opponent is going to give you the game, because Girona stood 10 toes deep, and they put their head tall, and the next moment, they kept on pressing Barcelona like no man business. And every time Girona came forward, I felt like the Barcelona defense could break. It looked fragile in some spaces, especially because I felt like Lamine Yamal was not contributing enough defensively. So in many moments, it was Koundé on 2v1 situations, which he was always overrun. It was not his fault. I want Barcelona players to remember our mantra. We attack together, we defend together. That is how we won the La Liga last season. Nobody should be above the program. You have to attack together and defend together. Koundé definitely needed that support. He was not getting it, and that led to a lot of crosses, a corner kick being considered, a lot of crosses coming in from that left-hand side position of Girona, which I felt like is what kind of led to the goal in the first place for Girona, because Barcelona were only able to hold their lead for just 7 minutes, and Girona struck back with an acrobatic kick from Axel Witsel, which, by the way, it was kind of like, I can't even complain about the goal because it was a really, really beautiful goal. Again, it was just a very good goal from Girona, but I can't actually, let's scratch that. I will complain about the goal, and it all stems from Barcelona not having the right levels of intensity. And after Girona struck, I would have thought that Barcelona would take the moment to reset and definitely push forward, but no, it was Girona who had all the momentum. They had 2 more opportunities where a ball splitting pass just breaks our defense, and Girona did not make the most of it. I certainly thought going into halftime, Girona should have been at least 3-1 up on Barcelona, and this is something that I want Hansi Flick and Barcelona to please address. I loved the highline last season. It was wonderful. Inigo Martinez being the leader of our defense was, helping things along very, very beautifully, but this season it's not giving the same level of experience or the same level of intensity as we had last season. So maybe we can pivot a little bit so that we can, we're not conceding some kind of like chances. It was so much that Axel Witsel, all he had to do most of the time was just loop the ball over, and Barcelona's defense was broken. And sometimes I kept on waiting for the offside flag. It was not coming because the players, they have enough film now. They know how Barcelona plays, and they know how to like hold their run a little bit tighter to avoid that offside flag. And sometimes when you think, okay, they've gone offside, what they only do is that they play the ball out wide, and then by the time the ball goes out wide, just like an outlet pass, by the time it's returning back into the center, the attackers are in good position, so it's really not an offside anymore. But like I said, going back to the point though, Girona had 2 wonderful one-on-one opportunities. It took Eric Garcia making a recovery run to just put the Girona player a little bit off, and he puts the ball away. And then the second 1v1 opportunity required a stop from Szczesny. Now we are going to be playing El Clasico next week. We cannot concede these chances. This was the chances we considered against Sevilla, where we ended up losing 4-1. We considered those chances against PSG. We ended up losing 2-1. If we concede these chances against Real Madrid with the brimming form that Mbappe is currently on, we will lose. And that's just what it is. In the second half, I thought the Barcelona were going to come out a little bit better. No, they did not do that. And before you talk to me about the fact that, Barcelona's team is, is rattled with injuries, I would remind you that this is Girona. They are a relegation team. I expected Barcelona to absolutely demolish them, to absolutely eat up this performance like no man's business. That is not what I saw from the team today, so I'm not really happy on that front. Coming into the second half, though, it was a little bit more mild performance. It wasn't as frantic as we saw in the first half, with all of those chances falling to either Girona or Barcelona. I did forget to mention about Rashford's in and out free kick. It was such a beautiful free kick, and I think we found our free kick taker. Rashford did have a wonderful free kick in the first half. He goes for power, it hits the underneath of the bar, hit the line, and then comes out. It should have gone over. It would have been a wonderful goal, but that did not happen. So Rashford now, in my opinion, should be our free kick taker. Coming into the second half, though, I did see Hansi Flick switched out Tony Fernandes, who, by the way, congratulations on your debut for Barcelona, for Fermin Lopez, which I thought was much needed. Fermin Lopez is a different caliber of player. I live for him. I love me Fermin Lopez. If you watch my videos just a little bit, you know how much I love this player, only because he's the kind of player that he doesn't have time for nonsense. Like some of the times I watched Barcelona in the second half, like I felt like they were a little bit guilty of trying to overplay, trying to overpass, trying to like tiki-taka their way into the net. It worked in the first half with Pedri. It's not always going to work. Sometimes if you see a bit of an opportunity, light it up. And within the first 10 minutes of Fermin Lopez being on the pitch, he lit it up. And on 2 occasions, I believe he forced a save from the Girona goalkeeper, which is what you want to see. Rashford also forced a save from the Girona goalkeeper as well. That's what you want to see. But again, Barcelona were guilty of giving the ball away a bit too cheaply here and there. But in the second half, though, it was more of them pressing Girona back and trying to, create something. Lamine Yamal did end up going off in the second half. Of course, I mentioned earlier that he's not quite 100% in terms of fitness. Rooney Baggi ends up coming on. So did Pedri. he ends up going up as well, because Pedri has played an insane amount of games for Barcelona and Spain, so he needed a bit of rest. So Rooney Baggi ends up coming in, and I wanna appreciate the second string of Barcelona here, because honestly, I felt like they played better from this moment on when Barcelona took off Pedri and Lamine Yamal. I'm not even going to lie to you. I felt like they were a little bit more confident, or would I say they were a bit more confident, or would I say like Girona dropped deep a little bit? It could go either way, depending on how you want to look at it. But I felt like they pressed the ball a bit more. They attacked together, all for one and one for all, which is kind of what I want to see from a Barcelona team. But as the game started to go away from Barcelona, I started to ask myself, will I be okay with us going to into the El Clasico, into Santiago Bernabeu with just if we drop points here today? Of course, we lost against Sevilla very shamefully last time out, so I was like, I mean, a draw wouldn't be the worst thing, right? But no, not today. Not today, because there was a bit of controversies here and there. I thought Kubasi had scored. The goal was ruled out because of a foul. I'm not really sure how that, you know what, never mind. The main thing though I want to talk about is Hansi Flick being suspended or getting a red card in this game because of his reaction to Kubasi's goal being chopped off. Again, I don't really understand that, and I'm quite curious to know what he said to the referee that demanded him to get a red card, knowing that a pivotal game against Real Madrid is just on the horizon. But I digress. But anywho, Barcelona kept on pushing, and it would be Ronald Araújo. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I saw Hansi Flick putting in Ronald Araújo, he put in Gerard Martin, he put in Andreas Christensen, I'm like, listen to me, sir. We need a goal, and you're putting in all these defenders. But I do understand that, yes, they probably put in them Christensen, of course, and Araujo to bring in that aerial threat. I knew that, of course, but I was like, at the same time, though, I need someone a bit more creative. But that's why Hansi Flick is the coach of FC Barcelona, and I'm a fan, and I just watch videos and talk. I just watch games and talk about them in my videos, because at the dying minute, Girona has held, you know, everything. They've done everything to prevent Barcelona from scoring. They defended wonderfully, putting a low block towards that last 20 minutes of the game, and we're just going to run off into the sunset with a point from Barcelona, which would have been a very, very wonderful opportunity for them, because again, like I said, they're a relegation team, Barcelona a championship team, Barcelona are the champions of La Liga, and this is what we're doing, you know. But Frenkie de Jong had one last push, and happy Frenkie de Jong, with congratulations on renewing your contract, and to be able to push the way he did with the last energy of the game. He finds Ronald Araújo in a striker's position, and Ronald Araújo, with the presence of mind, passes the ball into the net. I cried, I screamed. I could not believe it, because we have taken all 3 points in a game that we probably should have lost, or we probably should have drawn. I wouldn't say that we deserve to win this game, because based on the performance, we did not. But we have won it, and sometimes that's all you can do. That's all you can do. You can take the performances, you can take the 3 points and just let it go. Like today, I'm going to take the 3 points and let it go. But Hansi Flick has a lot of things to tinker, especially as we go to the Santiago Bernabeu next week. Yeah, that defense is not given. We might need to drop that high line a little bit. I don't know. I'm gonna let him, you know, do the thinking about that. But I need all our players to, again, remember our mantra: we attack as one and we defend as one. If we want to retain our La Liga title, that's the only way to go about it. Nobody can be a passenger in defense, and nobody can be a passenger in attack. All for one and one for all. But anywho, today is worked out. 3 points in the bag. We're top of La Liga temporarily, of course, until Real Madrid play tomorrow, which of course we'll be back here to talk about. Let me know what you thought about this game in the comment section. Are you as excited as I am? Because I certainly am. I was stressed, but again, 3 points in the bag, and that's all I could ask for. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye guys. Oh Lord.